בשם השם נעשה ונצליח.
One second, let me get you.
ועלינו רחמיו ירוויח. ואין קבלת פצץ. שאל ואהבת לרעך, גמר הלב אז כולך וישראל וכל נפשי וכל רבי וכל מעדי. This is good. I brought a sefer up, Einayim, that we're going to learn today, Be'ez Hashem Yisbarach, but I didn't want to wake up my wife, Chas v'shalom, in the bedroom, so I left really early. It was in the bedroom, so I didn't want to take a chance. So I'm going to have to read it from a phone. So it's the digital experience. Today's Tuesday, we just learned Chok Israel. So on the Tuesday, there's still He'ara Mishabat She'avra. Is the last day. Is there still a
remnants?
It leaves in stages. The He'ara of Shabbos. On Sunday, I think it's like the Neshama leaves right after Shabbos, and then the Ruach, and then the Nefesh.
See the illumination.
Right?
Illumination, that's what.
נסירה כזאת שהאורות מתנסרים ממנו בשבת, כאילו יורדת ממנו ההארות של הנשמה והרוח והנפש שנכנסת מלפני כן. It comes in on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday also, from the next Shabbos coming up, but we're still in the previous Shabbos. So this class Bezrat Hashem is Lului Nishmat Rafael ben Naomi, and also Avi Mori, Rav Mordechai Yisrael Tzvi, ben Rav Moshe Aaron, Shlomo Zalman ben Moshe Aaron. So we're going to go through a class, Bezrat Hashem Yisbarach, of from the Einayim of Nachum of Chernobyl, who happened to be named after. My name is Menachem Nachum. My father did it. I didn't have anything to do with it. So, I moved to Tzfas in 2005, and one of the reasons I moved here because I wanted to be in the Chernobyl base medrash and I had a feeling in the army that was my spot. So Baruch Hashem. The rest is history, but it's good history, and it's also present. The previous parasha we read, Re'eh Anochi Noten Lifnechem Hayom, Beracha Uklala. Right? And then he starts off the pasuk, says, Et Abracha Asher Tishmeu, V'Aklala Im Lo Tishmeu. So there's there's a subtle word that's used, Yesh Milah Echad, that you can see in the pasuk itself, that Re'eh Anochi Noten Lifnechem Hayom. Give you today, מה זה ראייה? So what's דווקא ללשון of seeing? What am I looking at? Right? And why in the second episode, Et HaBracha? Why does the letters Aleph and Taf, Et, it's said by the bracha, right? Es HaBracha. Asher tishmol mitzvahs Hashem Elokechem, asher anochi mitzvah eschem hayom, vehaklala. It doesn't say it, et haklala im lo tishmeu. So just pay attention to those letters, S. So, יש פסוק בפרשת ניצבים, שכותב, ראה נשאתי לפניך היום, look, I give before you today, es החיים, ואס הטוב, ואס המוות, ואס הרע. I give you before today the life, the good, the death, and the evil. If we're going to translate it into literal translation of English. And then it says, Uvacharta b'chaim. You have to choose the aspect of life. We spoke about what Bechira is. Do we have Bechira? If we don't have Bechira? So if we look at the creation of the world, Bereshis bara Elokim es hashamayim es haaretz, so how Hashem created the world, yesh amirot, it's with speech. Vayomer Elokim yor, vayor, and then there was light all of a sudden. So there's a creation that happens, yesh ze bria sheneaset, from just by speaking. From the Aleph Beis. The Aleph Beis has a yichud koach, and that's how Hashem created the world, and He gives us a koach of creation also through speech. Like the power of speaking to each other, and lilmod Torah, also the fact that I'm talking right now is a creation, is a koach of bria. So Kivyachol, there was a tzimtzum in Hashem's light into the letters, from Aleph until Taf. So what's the Aleph into Taf? So Aleph is the bchina shel alufo shel olam, like the master of the world, and Taf is like the lowest level of Aleph Beis, like and it stands for Tehayeh, the first letter of to live, Tehayeh, like to revive something, or Chas v'shalom, the opposite is tamus, is like is an experience of, not a life experience, and a misa experience of death.
Heaviness, emptiness.
Ma?
Heaviness,
Yeah.
emptiness.
Biduk, mavet, kilu, you're not alive in the world. And we have, b'chol davar ba'olam, in every aspect in this world, we come to a level of bechira, of tehayeh or tamut, and bring it up to the alufo shel olam, and bringing it up to Hashem, bring it up to the Aleph. So this aspect of Techayeh and Tammuz, that we have an opportunity in life to uplift, in a sense, because from the time of Chet Adam Rishon, that U'irbev tov v'ra. There was, all of a sudden, there was good and there was ra, and it became together. And we have an avodah pnimit as every Yehudi to levarer et hara, to be able to do a birur process. Like if I don't say a bracha on a cup of water, which I did before, but if I didn't say a bracha, so there's no birur, and I can't, I have no access to it. But there's different klipot. There's klipa tme'ah, there's klipat noga, and there's klipat teorah. Klipat teorah, there's access to it. There's no, but even in mitzvahs itself, we're going to see we have to watch the way we think and our motive behind them and why we're doing it. And is it for kavod? Is it for make me feel good about myself that I daven with the minyan, I got my thumbs up, Is it just to get by, yatzati yedei chova? So what's the motive of people also? But there's klipa tme'ah, is like klipa shel hazir. We don't have our tikkun is not to partake in it. Like a klipa tme'ah is, our tikkun shela is it's not to have anything to do with it. And klipat noga is, it's good and it's not so good, and it's intertwined with each other, that we have to know how to a proper separation. And the only way to do that is to build the proper kelim, and kli is gimater halacha, as כדי לעשות את הבירור הנכון, אז צריך, התורה הקדושה יש להם את העצות, they have as a proper advice for everything. We just have to get deep into halacha in every aspect in our life, and it'll show us in each aspect, in masal matan, in family, in friends, in parents, and in every aspect in life, it'll show us how to act. So, in Olam Hazeh, we're in the Olam Asiya, in this world, and Anashim nimshachim achar ta'avot einayim, we run after our eyes because we see things all the time. And we're gonna, so what are we looking at when we're seeing them? Right? The more we are able to connect on a ruchnius level, on a spiritual level, within ourselves, within avodat pnimit shelanu, shel avodat amidot, we're working on ourselves, and we have a seder limud Torah, then you'll have an ability, when you're looking at Olam Hazeh, you're able to, what looks not so good, החלק השמאל, כאילו שזה נראה, שזה התגברות הדינים, there's a lot of judgment there, because everything when it happens, it's all good, right? But when it comes down into the world, all of a sudden it's like, whoa, that's bad. How does death happen? And how do you kill babies? And how to like, there's things that look so awful in this world. And how do we, as Yudim, that we have to keep an emunah and bitachon, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is only good and he only does good in the world, and whoa, like that doesn't look so good. So ha're'iyah shelanu, our ability to see and our ability to look at the world, and I'm talking from experience, because like I have a brother that was killed in the army, and my father was just taken like a few months after he made Aliyah in Tzvas Yera Kodesh, and there's like traumatic experience that I went through in life. So if we didn't have the koach ha'bechira of the ability to see, and ubacharta b'chaim, and not have that death experience happen to you, even it could happen every single day. That's why we say a bracha, mechayeh hamesim. What are you doing? Mechayeh hametim. Right now, I don't feel it. Like mechayeh hametim is a present experience. What? Where's? I'm looking at the graveyard over here. I don't see any like dead coming up. So mimashma, it's not talking about tchias hamesim, that it's a futuristic experience. It's something that's happening now. So what's happening now that I'm getting a revived experience from? So we all have an ability, when we are in a physical world, to bring life or to bring an aspect of death. Chas v'shalom, in our experience. Because like people ask me where I live. I say wherever I go. What do you mean? Because it says v'chai b'hem, v'charta b'chaim. Like you have to have a life aspect wherever you're experiencing. But when we get up in the morning, it's a shtik tchias hamesim. Like it's a small aspect of tchias hamesim, because we have of echad mishishim imita, that 1/60th of death happens when we go to sleep. And then we have a chiddush that maidani lefanecha, that Hashem gives us a neshama back inside of us. So, but in the experience, in the world that we have an ability to bring life into an experience, that we're connecting every physical aspect we do to the alufo shel olam, to the aleph. So we come to the experience of choice in the tough that has tchiyah and that has tamas, that we can give a life force to it, and we can chas v'shalom give the opposite effect to it. So to bring it up to the alufo shel olam, to bring it up to the aleph, so es habracha, that's how we do it, is asher tishmu el mitzvah savaya lekechem, asher anochi mitzvah eschem, that you have to, the shmiya, that we have to la'asof, that we, in every aspect in life, that we look, and we have to just, okay, what does this have to do with my avodas Hashem right now? Like, how is this going to help me get closer to Hashem? Because every experience is exactly the way it's supposed to be the second that it's happening and where it's all written already. We just have to step in. Aser Retzoncha Retzonah, the Tzinor, it says in Masechet Avot, Aser Retzoncha, make your Mazer Retzoncha, will. It's we could translate to English, but if we switch around the letters of Ratzon, which comes from Keser, it's Tzinor, it comes a pipe. So you have to make your pipes also the same pipelines that Hashem to like connect them to where it's coming from. Don't make your own, like this, connect him, because he's mashpia. You just have to get into that sinor. Aser Retzoncha, that your Ratzon has to tap in to the Ratzon Pnimi of Hashem. And we can get into, it's confusing in the world. The Techev, right? The second we like, right away, Techev, the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh says, V'sartem v'avatem l'kim acherim, miyad shesartem, it's avodah zarah. V'avatem l'kim acherim. The second we don't have das, and right, it comes in, ein adam choyte, ela nichnas b'ruach shtut. You have this second that you don't have a das experience, and we don't have a connection in our mind to Hashem, that we're not connecting everything that we're doing, because an aspect of it, just a mitzvah that it's really in the mind, like Shabbos, Meleches, Machsheves, on Pesach, like I can run up to the Beis HaMikdash, I can do a mitzvah, and I can be over the Avodah Zarah because my whole mind was like not here. But and this aspect, and the opposite, that I can connect with my mind and everything that I do, and bring a life force experience into anywhere really, because there's so many things to do in the world, and Masal Matan, and how are you going to say that there's no ruchnis? I was falling asleep last night with my son, and he was like, Abba, right? He's 5. And right Hashem's in the wall also. I was like, yeah. Right Hashem's like over there, but also he's separate from everything, and he doesn't have an eye, and he doesn't have a face. And it was phenomenal to hear like a 5-year-old come, like try to grasp onto what Elikus is, to what Havaya is, and the Hayah which it is in every aspect in our life, and we can see it. So I feel the Ksav, really, Reb Shimon says, we should really be learning all day long. We have to prepare for davening, and the preparation is so long, and then davening, and then the preparation for the next davening, and then, like, when are we going to do malacha? So malacha nases alidei acherim, so your malacha will be done by other people, right? So, but harbe nisu Reb Shimon, a lot of people tried like Reb Shimon, and v'lo yalsa b'yadeim, and they didn't have the experience. It wasn't like successful. They didn't see that like, oh, shkayach, everything's being done. But so. Really, the Ikar Kinyan Eretz Yisrael is B'Yagias Kapayim. The Shvatim didn't want to come in probably because they were already learning. They didn't have to wash the clothing. They had the food. They had everything good for them. And then in the Midbar, so why would come into Eretz Yisrael? But really, Eretz Yisrael, the Kinyan of it was B'Yagias Kapayim, and we had that mamish for the past. We had Amish Yehudim coming to Eretz Yisrael and working the land, and we see how prosperous it is right now. And Baruch Hashem, we're zeichet that we can sit down and learn in the morning and for hours after Shacharis. So it's an amazing experience that we have a Geulah experience in Eretz Yisrael. But we have to connect it because there is a kinyan that has to be done, and it's Yegiat Kapayim and Masau Matan. So how do we find that I'm working on a computer and trading a stock, and how do I find Hashem in there? Or how do I find Hashem in building a house, or in every aspect of my life? אני חייב למצוא את הנקודה הפנימית שיש שם בורא יתברך, and why I'm here, and in every job specifically, there's a specific tikkun, and for that person why he's doing it. That I've experienced a lot of jobs in life, Baruch Hashem. I can tell you so many different ones. Yeah, Baruch, mamash. Like it's an amazing experience to go through, but it's really nothing. Like people ask me, "What do you do?" Like it's such a broad question. Like ani oved Hashem, but what you do. Like, how do you categorize it by like one tiny job that you go to, like work a few hours a day? Like that's what people categorize themselves as. And Hashem needs it. We have to, like a person who builds a house, Mami, I'm building Eretz Yisrael. Ani boneh et Eretz Yisrael. Person that's like, you have to think out of your experience and what you're doing, because it's really not that. And it really is justifying the Yud and the Hey and the Vav and the Hey and every experience that we're doing, and to uplift that Havaya is the Lekechem, that the Rachamim is the Din, and the Din is the Rachamim. And the way to do it is Mamash b'mochin. We have to in our it's practice makes perfect. Practice, experience of training our mind in experiences that is going to lead to a constant. Like the way to become a professional baseball player is to constantly do it over and over and over and over and over again. Like to play a violin, just to know how to play it, you just have to do 50 hours. Really, just 50 hours to know how to do it. To be an expert is like let's say 10,000 hours, okay? But just to know how to play and to get it into like to know how to do something, it's just 50 hours. To put it into like perspective of what we can do with our head, what we can do with our time and our mind, if we just put our thought process to it, and our capability of looking at things, that re'iyah, and looking at the physical world and seeing Elokus, and seeing and judging everyone favorably, and looking at the good in every possible way. And that's how we get rid of the aspect of Misa in the world, because we're giving a life force. And that's Mechaya HaMesim that we say in Tefillah, that's the giving a life force to everything. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yazor Lanu, that we should be able to look at everything and have a spiritual sight in every aspect that we do, to uplift every physical aspect, and to connect it to the Alufo Shel Olam, to the Aleph, to the beginning, and to know that we're always beginners, to never think that we know it, and to always just baby steps also, and again and again, like Rebbe Kiva with the water, little drops, and it goes in afterwards. And then Moshe Rabbeinu was jealous of Rebbe Kiva and the Shemayim. He's like, wow, look at that Or, look at that neshama that's coming down to the world. But that was the neshama, it was just little drops. So what little things can do in the world are the greatest things. B'ezrat Hashem sheniskeh, Baruch Hashem la'olam, amen v'amen.
We have another 10 minutes. So I want to ask you, could you develop a little bit further some suggestions on how to live our lives with God consciousness? In other words, when I'm praying, okay, I understand I have to be connected with God. When I'm learning, of course, I have to be connected with God. But how do I infuse this knowledge of God in the more mundane things?
So I found myself in after I lived in Tzfas for many years, and all of a sudden I was in Tel Aviv working in a company doing debt collection in England. For the really, like, for a payday loan company, it was like 100, 200 pounds, people that couldn't make the month. And I'm calling them up to return back their debt. I'm like, what am I doing here? Whoa. Like, what's this experience that I like? This is, whoa. Like, from sitting and learning all day long, all of a sudden making phone calls to, and making up accents just to feel comfortable with what I'm doing. So they'll feel comfortable with me. So I was talking like this, eh? So, but the experience was so then I was like, okay, this is where I am right now. And sometimes there's no bechira. Hashem puts you really in certain places. And so what am I doing? Like, what am I doing here? So I always had not always, but most time I had Tanakh in front of me. And I would just like, between phone calls, I would just like rereading Prakim of Tanakh. But then I was like, but the Tachlis, I was like, what am I, this avodah of collecting debt from people, what am I actually doing with that avodah? So there was one chizuk that gave me, because the Rambam actually says that there's a mitzvah daraisa, lanochri tashich, to take ribbis from goyim. So there was like, when you lend money, that it's okay to take ribbis from goyim and not from Yidden, it's aser, but from goyim it's aser. So I was like, oh, I'm a kaima mitzvah daraisa, that I'm actually collecting the debt back from them. So I'm a kaima mitzvah right now for them. Like right now, taking ribbis from goyim, lanochri tashich. So it was one nechama that you can find in your activity. You can find an aspect of why I'm here and what I'm doing. And it can be really, Anim Chai Be'eretz Yisrael, Yishuv Eretz Yisrael, I'm supporting my family in Eretz Yisrael. It's such a huge mitzvah. You know, my Zaydis would be so jealous of like the fact that I'm living in Eretz Yisrael with my family here. You know how much they wanted to come here? That's a machshava, like just, I'm going to work and I'm doing it, and even it looks mundane, and it looks like it's not, but it's b'toch Eretz Yisrael. Anything that's in Eretz Yisrael is not like just the highest. So, but it's all the difference, it's in the mindset. So the mindset, so how do we get in our mind that we're capable of seeing and experiential of das? Practical avodah for myself, mikvah. Mikvah is the tikvah. Mikvah works on the mohin. Mikvah works internally on something inside in a deeper area. So if we have an ability to immerse ourselves on a daily experience, a daily basis, it'll change our day. The way we think, the way we process, the way we look at things, the way we look at people. I'll tell you from before I go to the mikvah, the way my brain functions, and afterwards, it's shamayim va'aretz. It's a reset. It's one of our only experiences that we have, that we take off everything physical and we go into water. The last time we did it probably was when we were a baby in our mother's stomach, right? Or like in the beach, like we don't do it often. Like we go fully enclosed in water is a mikvah experience, and it's a renewal. It's like a chidush, a mamash that happens from inside the womb, and we have a rebirth every time we do it. And what mikvah can do, no other mitzvah can do, because it's a hechsher mitzvah. It's a preparation to all other mitzvahs. And to take time and to talk to Hashem daily. It can be in the water in the mikveh. It can be during davening in your Shemona Esrei. You're allowed to say words. Chazal tiknu lanu, that we can say words in the brachot before we finish off the bracha that's connected to that bracha, a certain tefillah. So if we have an ability to connect, and it's covering grounds in tefillah for every aspect in life. So that'll help us throughout the day also be able to reconnect and align our mindset, and to get in tune with, to have a das experience, and to bring simcha into everything that we're doing. Because otherwise, bishvil ma, like, what are we here for? We're not here just to get up in the morning and to make a living and to go to sleep at night and to do it again. It sounds like a groundhog day, right? It's like, it's really like, it's not tachlis. So tachlis is tough and tough. Is it the chaya? I thought about this chiddush is tough and tough. Is the chaya or tamas experience, and the kli in the middle. That's a tachlis, to make the kalim, and between it to have the experience, to know how to make the decision between the two, is to have proper kalim.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you prepare yourself during Elul to turn up on Rosh Hashanah in the highest possible way?
I listen to niggunim. I listen to music. Mainly Rav Shlomo niggunim. Rav Shlomo Kalbach niggunim. And Eilam niggun is singing. It's Shira is Gematria Tefillah. It's like if you don't count the Yud in Tefillah. Because the experience of Shira is Tachas Kisei HaKavod that we're singing, that's a simcha level also, I find. To bring das is everyone has to find a niggun. You have to find, like Rav Nachum says, that your stride should have like music to it. Like when you're walking, you should feel like you're walking within a niggun, like you're walking within a music. Lahavdil Elifat Avdallah. I saw this episode of a cartoon episode that this guy swallowed like this radio, and like everywhere he was walking, you feel like there was music, and he was like this. And he was like, oh, music. I was like, oh, music over here. Like, and he did different motions, and it was different music coming out. So we do have that ability in ourselves that if we live within a niggun, if we're constantly singing, that I know if I check if I have a happy child, if they're singing in the shower, right? They're by themselves, they're in their own space, and they're singing. So like, shkach. They're like, there's a nekuda pnimis of simcha within there that they can come to like just sing. Like, it's like a. So that's how I check if my children is in a good state of mind. But we have to also do that. We have to find within ourselves an ability to sing. So an avodah that I prep for Av is Rosh Hashanah's Elul Ba. Elul is coming. So mamish tomorrow night is Rosh Chodesh. Elul. I had this chiddush last year. Everyone says in Parashat Nitzavim. Let's see if I can find it. Beit Hashem Yisbarach. There's Rosh Hashanah of Elul, that everyone knows, Ani l'doidi v'doidi li. But in Parashat Nitzavim, there's another Rosh Hashanah, Es levavcha ve'es levav. Es levavcha ve'es levav. Right? That's also Rosh Hashanah Elul. The first letter was El. Second. Sorry, 1 second. Hopefully. here. And the way the pasuk chaf chet in Perek Chavtet, Hanistarot lahavaya elikenu v'haniglois lanu, right? Ulevanenu adalam na'asos is called divrei HaTorah azos. So lahavaya elikenu v'haniglois lanu is Rosh Tevas Elul also. It's another, in Parashat Tetzavim, it comes out by Rosh Hashanah time, and Elul, so Elul, so Aleph, Lamed, Vav, Lamed. So another hint to Elul there in the Parsha. And another one over here. The next pasuk, it says, Ki yavo alecha, and when it comes, kol advarim ha'eleh, all these dvarim, habracha v'haklala, all the bracha, like we said, and the klala. Asher nasati lefanecha, v'hasheva Yisrael levavecha b'chol hagoyim. So lefanecha v'hasheva Yisrael levavecha is also Rosh Tevas Elul. So that v'hasheva Yisrael levavecha, you have to know how to bring every aspect back to the heart and to feel, and that's tshuva, and bringing it back in every experience in the bracha and the klala, and to bring it back. So you see that there's I think like there might be one more time that I found. I'm not gonna hold you right now, but I think that was, yeah. I think there was one more because I remember finding it like three times in the parsha.
You have a question?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Wondering if you could share with us your niggun.
My niggun.
I was going to ask that.
It really, really depends, because I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth. But it's really a niggun experience. It's it's funny. I was wondering this morning if anyone thought I was, because I didn't think it was the normal experience in Lulav that if someone was like singing in the mikveh. So I was wondering if what the older Lulav Chassidim were thinking this morning about me, but when I was singing. But, it depends on the moment, but now it's feeling Hanisha Malach Ayve Hagus Palach Ayechusa Chusa Alam Malach Hanisha Aguf Pavala Aychusa Chusa Alamala Oyanesha Malach Ayve Aguf Palach Aychusa Amala Yo Yamama Ayana Yo Oh, oh, oh. Ya mama ya mama ya mama ida dida hayre ya mama ida ma ida dida ma ya mama ya mama ida dida hayre dida mama ida Ya mama yelina mama ya ira
Nachum, thank you so much.
Thank you, Hashem.
May you be
Thank
blessed
you, Vayla.
to come and teach us again very soon.
Amen.
Okay, so I'm just going to get
Oh, Hanan.
Boker Tov. Yeah, doesn't it? How you doing? I enjoyed your presentation on Parshas Shoftim.
Wasn't mine, it was the Eversys.
Okay.
Just the messenger.
You did a good job.
Don't kill the messenger.